वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी। हरि ओम तत्सत्। And someone can share verse number 6, canto 3, chapter 13, verse number 6. मैत्रेय उवाच यदा स्वभार्यया सार्धम् जाता स्वयं भुवो मनुः प्राञ्जलि प्रणतसी चेदम् वेदगर्भम् अभासत। मैत्रेय उवाच यदा स्वभार्यया सार्धम् जाता स्वयं भुवो मनुः प्राञ्जलि प्रणतश्चेदम् वेदगर्भम् व्यभासत। मैत्रेय उवाच यदा स्वभार्यया सार्धम् जातः स्वयं भुवो मनुः प्राञ्जलि प्रणतश्चेदम् वेदगर्भम् अभासत। Word to word. Maitreya Vacha. Maitreya said, Yada, when Swabharya, along with his wife, Sardham, accompanied by Jata, appeared, Swayambhuva, Swayambhu Manu, the father of the mankind, Pranjali, with folded hands, Pranataha, in obeisances, Cha, also, Idam, this, Veda Garbham, unto the reservoirs of Vedic wisdom, Abhasata, addressed. Translation by the Divine A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The sage Maitreya said to Vidura, after his appearance, Manu, the father of the mankind, along with his wife, thus addressed the reservoir of Vedic wisdom, Brahma, with obeisances and folded hands. No purport, so read verse number 7. Tvam eka sarva bhutanam janma krut vrittida pita tatapi na prajanam te susrusha kena va bhavet. त्वमेक सर्वभूतानां जन्मकृत वृत्तिदा पिता तथापि न प्रजानां ते शुश्रूषा केन वा भवेत्। त्वमेक सर्वभूतानां जन्मकृत वृत्तिदा पिता तथापि न प्रजानां ते शुश्रूषा केन वा भवेत्। त्वं यू एक one sarva all bhutanam living entities janmakrut progenitor vrittida source of subsistence pita the father tadapi yet na ourselves prajanam of all who are born te of you susrusha service kena how va either bhavet may be possible. Translation by Divine A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. You are the father of all living entities and the source of their subsistence, because they are all born of you. Please order us how we may be able to render service unto you. Repeat. You are the father of all living entities and the source of their subsistence, because they are all born of you. Please order us how we may be able to render service unto you. Purport by Prabhupada. A son's duty is not only to make the father the source of supply for all his needs, but also when he is grown up to render service unto him. That is the law of creation beginning from the time of Brahma. A father's duty is to bring up the son until he is grown, and when the son is grown up, it is his duty to render service unto the father. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pungum Nangete Girim Yatkripatamam Vande Sri Gurum Devatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhayeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gauru Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Shri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Thank you all for joining. The new chapter began few days ago. So chapter 13 is the Lord appearance of Lord Varahadev. We'll give quick summary and we'll delve into this verse and try to cover the glories of Lord Nityananda Prabhu also. It's unending. So many glories. So here this chapter has almost 10 sections. So 1 to 4 or 1 to 5 is Vidra's further inquiries. The more in deep, if you look at its eagerness to hear, yeah, and eagerness to hear and will come with the quality of very meek and gentle. Then they will develop eagerness to hear. So further, it is mentioned. So what Vidura is asking is, what did Swayambhu Manu do after obtaining his wife? And describe his sublime characteristics. Here, one must hear with great labor, a long time, must hear from the mouths of pure devotees about the characteristics of pure devotees. So one must hear from pure devotees about the characteristics of pure devotees. That is 1 to 5 section. And second section is 6 to 8, how to render service and direction and for execution. So Maitreya to Vidura, that is, or Swayambhu Manu to Lord Brahma. There are many parallels here. So that is 6 to 8. And the third section is 9 to 13, Lord Brahma's instruction on specifically on the service, how to do service. And then section 4 is 14 to 15, abiding by the order of the Father and asking for help. Then there's the next section, fifth section is 16 to 17, Lord Brahma's deep contemplation and meditation. So these also gives very, very important instruction on this verse and overall this whole chapter. So Lord Brahma gone through three difficult circumstances or situations. First one, when Lord Brahma had four Kumaras born, but they denied Lord Brahma's request of procreation. Second time, Rudra was born, but they didn't do what exactly the way Lord Brahma desired in expanding the creation. And the third aspect now we see also in this verse from 13 to 19 is the very, very important chapters of finish talking about Lord Varahadev from different angles. Also the past history of why Lord Varahadev appeared in the whole thing, because as Vidura is asking Maitreya, as Parikshit Maharaj is asking Sukadeva Goswami, so and within that Swayambhu Manu was asking Lord Brahma about the service. So that's why these three aspects are indirectly hinting us, despite and Lord Varahadeva's appearance also showing the same instruction. And we see in Hanuman, Lord Hanuman's case also same instruction are being given, repeatedly being given. Because despite we may have so many among devotees outside in general public, there will be could be enviousness, jealousy, all these characters even we must tolerate despite difficulty, despite we may be endeavoring so much, but still maybe hardly one person may be listening or one person may be coming to service, whatever the case may be. Still, we must tolerate and continue on with deep meditation, deep endeavoring and praying for the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and our Guru and spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada intensely, then only we can carry on. Otherwise, we will be bogged down by somebody has criticized us, somebody finding faults with us, or this is not good, that is not good. This will go on. So Prabhupada had to deal with this same thing from his own God brothers, from within the devotees, and so many angles he had to face in India and here, everywhere he had to face. But he went on just to carry on the instruction. So that's what is the first and foremost and the most important for devotees. And we see that further on the same point. So that's why the verse 16 to 17. That's why Lord Brahma deeply meditated, because that is the only solution. Is praying and sincerely seeking the mercy of Lord Krishna, Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Otherwise, there is no possibility for us to move on with our service. It's very, very difficult. In Kali Yuga, especially even more difficult. It will be like the Nala and Damayanti story. How much Nala and especially had to face so many challenges for 12 years from his own brothers, from his own family. So don't expect that our own family, so even it could be even among own devotees. Because this is what Kali Yuga means. It could be within, it could be without, outside or inside also sometimes. Sometimes our own mind is giving us trouble and deviating us from the path of pure devotion, showing us all kinds of allurements. So that's why we have to be careful. That is the main instruction from this whole 13 to 19 chapters itself. Now, section number 6, 18 to 27. Lord Varahadev's wonderful appearance and wonderful appearance in his activities. Then 28 to 33 is describing Lord's entrance and entering into the water, diving into the water and lifting the earth, killing the demons. So that means this is instructing, indirectly hinting the Lord by approaching the bona fide spiritual master and the Supreme Lord and sadhus will be able to remove our anarthas and pulling out from Andakupa. So Lord submerged, dived into the both ocean and picked up the earth while putting. Everybody is watching from the sky. Lord Brahma and all other demigods are watching Lord Varahadev. In this case, this is the 28 to the very important section also. 34 to 45, section number 8. Sages, these are sages who are watching from the sky. Sages are offering prayer, beautiful prayers to Lord Varade, 34 to 45, personified Vedic hymns, where they're mostly talking about the various sacrifices. In different ways, they're comparing each and every part of the body with different. Just like example is hair holes is oceans, skin touch. Your Vedic hymns. In this way, they are Gayatri and others. In this way, they are glorifying almost each and every part of the body, comparing in that way and glorifying the Lord. Section number 9, 46 to 47. Lord placing the earth with the position and returning back to floating on the water, back in its own position, and then Lord returned to back to his abode. And then the last section is 48 to 50. Hearing and describing Lord's activities in devotional attitude or transcendental loving service. In this way, we see the 10 important sections in this chapter. We also see here Veda Garbham is used, it means reservoir of Vedic wisdom. Who is that? Lord Brahma, who has been given this transcendental knowledge from the Lord Krishna's flute. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavayam Yanti Yat Suraya. First canto, first chapter, first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And here we can see the devotional attitude and mood, how to serve. Especially Swayambhu Manu was with offering obeisances and folding his hands deeply in respect to his own father. And in the same way, one must worship Guru also. That instruction is also coming out. And verse number 7 is hinting important word is Susrushaya, Kena Susrushaya, how to render service. So this is for instruction as a Grihastha. Swayambhu Manu is a Mahajana, himself is Mahajana. Out of 12 Mahajanas we have Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapilo, Manu, Prahlado, Janako, Bhishmo, Balir, Vaiyasaki, Vayam. Even though he himself is Mahajana, he is showing by his own example. He is able to see. Swayambhu Manu also had to face the difficult situations also in some cases. And he knows exactly how to detect, how to instruct, how to guide his dependents, his dependents. He is able to give, he could detect the other devotee. That is also mentioned in Act of Instruction. One must know how to serve a devotee. One must exchange. If one wants to develop love for the Lord, one must do the 6 loving exchanges. And we recently read also one verse clearly, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning the purport of that verse. If one wants to enter into the spiritual world, one must do Ekadasi Vrata without fail, and one must observe festivals. One must observe festivals, especially for ours. It's very very important. Lord Advaita Acharya's appearance starting with Nityananda Trayodashi coming up Monday. These festivals are super important. One must observe, means Ekadasi instruction is there. One must visit temple, take darshan of the Lord. Because that is what the goal of human life is. If you want to enter into the spiritual world, this is the instruction clearly Prabhupada is making that point in the purport of one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have to take that seriously. So one must exchange, do 6 exchanges. When we come to temple, what we are supposed to do? These are the six exchanges. We cannot directly develop our love directly just worshipping the Lord like Gunatma Mishra, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's case, simply ringing the bell. No, it is more to do with how we conduct, how we serve, how we dance. The temple is all about being in joy and ecstatic behavior, being in joy of love, exchanging love with devotees. This is super, this is the most important aspect. We forget. We just simply stand. We don't want dance. We don't want to be in that sankirtan. Sometimes we are doing something else. So this is the most important aspect one must remember. Rupa Goswami is instructing in letter of instruction. Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti chet pranavi cha bhajantam isham susrushaya, very very important. Susrushaya bhajana vignam ananyam anya nindadi sunya hridam ipshita sangalabdya. One should offer humble obeisances to those who are taken diksha. Especially mentally, one who's chanting, one who's taken first initiation, at least one must offer in mentally offer obeisances, respect that devotee. The second category is one who has taken second initiation or diksha and engaging in worship the deity, one must offer humble obeisance to that person. And then further, one should associate and with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service, whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So this is the most important instruction Rupa Goswami is giving, because he has talked about six kinds of exchanges, Dadadi Pratigunadivas. But then with whom and how you are going to exchange? Then he is elaborating on that point, verse number 5 of that instruction. That's why this book must be known in and out from end to end. We must know this book. We must wear as like a garland in our neck. Every day this must be practiced. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult in devotion service. Uh, and then we see this is the important instruction. We see that here Veda Garbham is mentioned. So because these Vedas are coming from the breathing of the Lord. And so that breathing is mentioned, proper quotes, Upanishad. Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nasvasitim Etad Yad Rugvedo, Yajurveda, Samavedo, Atharva, Angirasa. Four Vedas are emanation from the breath of the great personality of Godhead. And Varaha appeared especially in two different ways. Sveta Varaha Kalpa, in Swayambhu Manu was the Manu in a white. Both are described in the 13 to 19 chapters. And a red color in Chakshusha Manvantara. Uh, Now we see that instruction of Lord Brahma to Kapila, Lord Brahma to Kardam Muni. So I was mentioning about Swayambhu Mani could detect who is the how to serve devotee, who is the Vaishnava, who is not. He could detect his wife, he was his daughter. So Devahuti, he could identify and he could give to Kardam Muni, was a great Mahajan, great devotee, exalted devotee of the Lord. So Lord Vishnu appeared in front of him, Kardam Muni. Bindu Sarovar, Bindu Madhava appeared, and Bindu Sarovar lake is there. From his tears, by seeing the Lord, he cried profusely. So where Lord Brahma is instructing Kardamuni in Canto 3, chapter 24, verse number 12 and 13. Prabhupada is giving nice purport, nice instruction. If one carries out the order of a guru by disciplic succession, he overcomes four defects. Important point. We know committing mistakes, illusion, cheating, propensity, imperfect senses. But how do we come out? If one carries out the order of Guru by disciplic succession, he overcomes four defects. So those people, outside people may ask, but everybody is having this four defects, then what is the use of me reading or hearing? This is what is clearly why how important it is to surrender to Guru and hear from Guru and follow Gurus. And further, verse number 13, elaborate purport. There should be no instance in which the disciple or son says, this is not correct. I cannot carry it out. When he says that, he is fallen. If a disciple or a son to a father, to a guru, especially disciple to a guru is even more important as spiritual aspects. He is he is fell down. Means he is not in a, actually, even though officially he might have taken initiation, but he is really not, basically is not acting on that platform. So Guru is not obliged to take him back to Godhead if he does that. So that's it. Generally, that's why they don't give instructions, because that will not be good for the progress of a devotee. So if the Guru gives instructs orders and then disciple doesn't follow, so that's why it's very very important. Order of the father or guru must be carried out without hesitation, with an immediate yes. This is real service to guru and father. Vishwanath Thakur explained, order of guru is the life and soul of a disciple. As a man cannot separate life from his body, disciple cannot separate the order of a guru from his life. And then he's quoting Yasyadeve Parabhakti Radadeve Tata Guru Tatsaiva hi Katita Prakasante Mahatma. So that's why we can see. And then in the 13 to 19, Lord Varahadeva's appearance given. At the end, nice details are given, where it is mentioned that this very process of hearing attentively, Etan Mahapunyam Malam Pavitram, Danyam Esasyam Padam Ayur Asisho. प्राणेन्द्रियाणाम युधि शौर्यवर्धनम नारायणो अवते गतिर अंग स्नन्वताम. This very process of hearing attentively about the pastimes of the Lord will endow them with innumerable benefits such as wealth, fame, longevity, and other desirable aims of life. If one continues to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of narratives and pastimes of the Lord, at the end of his life, one is sure to be transferred to eternal transcendental abode of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya speaks about these five potent forms: Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, Bhagavata Sravana, Madrava, Sri Murtira, Shraddhaya, Sevana. So one must associate with devotees and engage in chanting the holy name of the Lord, and be in Sankirtan, which we have on, I think, Saturday or Sunday. Try to attend. Bhagavat Sravana, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and staying in a holy place, or making your, wherever our temple, Sri Siddhartha Syam Sundar's temple is here. So that is our Madravas, is not different. Sri Murtira, worshipping the deity, and Shraddhaya, with very much devotion. The one must, and serve. This is what, and further it is elaborated. Sakala sadhana shrestha yei pancha anga, Krishna prema janmaya yei panchara alpa sanga. These five limbs of devotion service are the best of all. Even a slight performance of these five awakens love for Lord Krishna. So very very important points. Now quickly, time is up already. So, how to serve the Lord? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is showing. So, by his own example. That's why one must read chapter 11 of Madhya Leela. How Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has served the devotees personally, interacting with each and everyone, calling out with the names, individual names, and giving them the garlands, putting the chandan, distributing prasadam. Each and every, please read. I urge each and every one of you. And at the end of the verse, how to become a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is mentioned. How one can become. Yeit kahiloon prabhura kirtan vilas, yeva iha sune haya chaitanya das. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, exalted Acharya. In this way, I have explained the Lord's pastime of Sankirtan, and I bless everyone with this benediction. By listening to this description, one will surely become a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now let's see what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing, showing by his own example, especially in one of the pastime here. जय जय सर्व प्राणनाथ विश्वम्बर जय नित्यानंद गदाधर ईश्वर. All glories to Vishwambar, the life and soul of all. All glories to Lord Nityananda and Gadadhar. All glories to the Lord who is controlled by his devoted, headed by Advaita. O Lord, please distribute your devotion service and deliver the fallen souls. In this way, all the devotees became overwhelmed while discussing the topic of Krishna in the association of Nityananda. All the devotees were eagerly magnanimous Mahabhagavata. They roared loudly as they became intoxicated in the mellows of Krishna consciousness. Ase Prabhu Nityananda Chari Dike Dekhi Vihaye Ananda Dara Sabha Kare Anki. Nityananda Prabhu smiled as he looked around. Tears of love flowed from everyone's eyes. Dekhi Ananda Mahaprabhu Viswambara Nityananda Prati Kichu Karila Uttara. When Mahaprabhu Vishwambar saw this ecstatic scene, he spoke something to Nityananda. Suno suno Nityananda Sripada Gosani Vyasa Puja Tumara Haibe Kontani. O Sripada Nityananda Gosani, please hear. Where should we hold your Vyasa Puja ceremony? कली है वे पौर्णमासी व्यासेर पूजना आपने बहिया भले हिरे लाय मना. Tomorrow is the full moon day when Vyasa is worshipped as consider and inform us what is to be done. Nityananda jani lena prabhura ingita aite dari anilena Srinivas Pandita. Nityananda understood the Lord's hint and brought Srinivas Pandit forwarded by the hand. Haise bale Nityananda suno Viswambar Vyasa puja yei mure Vamanara ghare. Nityananda smiled and said, please hear, O Viswambar, I will observe Vyasa puja in the house of this Brahmana, that is Srivas Pandit, Srivas Thakur's house. Srivase repate bale Prabhu Viswambar Bada bhara lagila yei tumara upara. Lord Viswambar said to Srivas, this is great responsibility for you. पंडित बलेना प्रभु किचु नहीं बारा तुम्हारे प्रसाद सर्व गरेरी अमार. Srinivas replied, O Lord, this is not at all a burden for me. By your mercy, everything is available at my home. Vastu, cloth, moong dal, brahmana, threads, ghee, betel, pan, and whatever else is needed, all are there. I only have to borrow a book explaining the procedures. I am most fortunate, for tomorrow I will see the Vyasa Puja. प्रीति हैला महाप्रभु श्रीवासेर बोली करी करी ध्वनि करे Vaishnava sakale. Mahaprabhu was greatly pleased with the words of Srivas, and all the Vaishnavas began to chant Hari Hari. विश्वम्बर बले सुनो श्रीपाद गुसाई सुबह करे सबे पंडितेर घरे यही. Vishwambar said, "Oh Sripad Gosani, please listen. With your blessing, we will all go to Srivas Pandit's home. Anandita Nityananda Prabhure Vachane, say Krishna, Agna Lai Karile Gamane." Nityananda was pleased with Lord's word. Taking the Lord's instruction, they all immediately departed. Sarvagane Chalila Thakur Viswambara Rama Krishna Vedi Yena Gokula Kinkara. As Nityananda and Vishwambara went along with their associate, it appeared that Balarama and Krishna were surrounded by the residents of Gokula. Pravishta Kaila Matra Srivas Mandre Bada Nityananda Haila Sabara Sharire. As soon as they entered the house of Srivas, everyone was filled with ecstatic love for Krishna. Kapata Padila Tave Prabhura Agnaya Apta Gana Vina Mara Ite Napaya. The Lord ordered that main entrance be closed so that no one other than the intimate associates could enter. The Lord gave instruction to begin Kirtan. As the sound of that Kirtan arose, everyone lost external consciousness. In that ecstatic Adivas Kirtan prior to Vyasa Puja, the two lords danced as devotees surrounding them sang. So please join all of you, please, before Lord Nityananda Trayodashi on Sunday evening. Let us all celebrate Adivas ceremony. Chira Divashera Preme Chaitanya Nitai Donhe Donha Jana Kari Nache Ekatani. Chaitanya and Nitai are bound by eternal love. They meditated on each other as they danced together. Someone roared loudly, someone cried out, someone fell unconscious while someone else wept. I am unable to describe the Lord's transformation of love. Such an shivering, perspiring, hair standing around, crying and falling unconscious in ecstasy. As the two lords danced, Swayambhu Anande Nache, Prabhu Dui Jana, Chane Kula Kuli Kari Karaye Krandana. As the two lords danced on their own in their own ecstasy, they sometimes embraced each other and cried. They both tried to each other catch each other's speech, but they both elevated cleverly avoided being caught. They both rolled on the ground in ecstasy and forgot themselves while absorbed in their own pastime. They lost all external consciousness, their clothes scattered, and although the Vishwambara tried to pacify them, they were unable. Who can hold that personality who holds the three worlds? The two lords thus became intoxicated in the happiness of Kirtan. Sri Gaurasundar called out, chant, chant, and his entire body became soaked with tears of ecstasy. After obtaining fulfillment of his long cherished desire for the association of Nityananda, the Lord forgot himself and floated in an ocean of bliss. Vishwambara's dancing was most enchanting as his feet would touch his own head. The earth trembled under the feet of Nityananda, and all the Vaishnavas thought there was an earthquake. In this way, the two lords danced in ecstasy. Who has the power to describe their jubilation? In order to reveal the glories of Lord Nityananda, Lord Vishwambara became absorbed in the mood of Balarama and sat on the throne. The Lord became intoxicated by the mood of Balaram and repeatedly demanded, bring wine, bring wine. Sri Gaurasundar said to Nityananda, quickly give me your plow and club. Being instructed by Lord Nityananda Prabhu put those items in the hands of Gaurasundara, who accepted them. Some persons saw nothing other than their hands, while others directly saw the plow and club. Only one who is favored by the Lord can know him. Others, even if they see, they cannot explain. This topic is the most confidential and is known only to those few persons who know the glories of Lord Nityananda. After accepting the plow and club from Nityananda, the Lord was overwhelmed and called for Varuni. Everyone was speechless and confused as they looked at each other. After careful consideration, they offered the Lord a pitcher of Gangesh water. All the devotees offered water and their Lord drank. It appeared as though Lord Balram himself was drinking. The devotees on all sides offered prayers and glorification of Balram as loudly, constantly called out Nada, Nada, Nada. The Lord rolled his head back and forth while calling out Nada and Nada, but no one could understand the actual meeting of Nada. Everyone inquired, O Lord, who is this Nada you are calling? The Lord replied, he who by whose loud cries I came. This incarnation of mine was induced by Nada, by whom you all call Advaita Acharya. Nada brought me from Vaikuntha, but now he is living free from all cares with Haridas. I have descended to inaugurate Sankirtan movement, by which I will preach the chanting the holy names in each and every house. I will not award love of God to those fallen souls who have offended my devotees, because they are proud of their education, wealth, high birth, knowledge, and austerities. Otherwise, I will give everyone that which persons like Lord Brahma enjoyed. On hearing the Lord's statement, all the devotees flooded in bliss. After a while, Sri Satchidananda became pacified. The Lord then asked, how have I been restless? The devotees replied, not particularly. The Lord lovingly embraced everyone and said, please do not even ever be offended by my behavior. On hearing the Lord's word, all the devotees smiled. Then Nityananda and Mahaprabhu rolled about on the ground. Nityananda, who is not different from Shesha, could not control his ecstatic mood and became overwhelmed in the mellows of loving devotion. Where was his danda? Where was his water pot? And where were his clothes? Nothing remained with him. The most grave Nityananda became restless, but the Lord personally pacified him. The maddened lion like Nityananda was controlled by the iron rod like words of Lord Chaitanya. He did not care for anything else. But be calm. Tomorrow you must worship Vyasdev. Speaking in this way, Lord returned home. All the devotees then returned to their homes, while Nityananda remained in the house of Srivas. In the dead of the night, Nityananda suddenly roared loudly and broke his danda and kamandal. Who can understand the unlimited characteristics of Supreme Lord? Why did he break his danda and kamandal? When Ramai Pandit rose early in the next morning, he was astonished on seeing the broken danda and kamandal. Immediately informed Srivas Pandit, who told him, go and inform the Lord. Being informed by Ramai, the Lord came there and found Nityananda profusely laughing. Lord picked up the broken danda with his own hands and went with Nityananda to take bath in the Ganga. Accompanied by Srivas and other devotees, Lord went to the Ganga and put broken danda in the water. The restless Nityananda did not listen to anyone. That is why the Lord sometimes admonished him. कुंभीर देखिए तारे दरे बरे आया गलाधरा Srinivas करे हाय हाय. When Nityananda saw a crocodile, he attempted to catch it. Gadadhar and Srivas exclaimed, alas, alas. Santare Gangara Maje Nirbhaya Sarira Chaitanyere Vakye Matra Kichu Haya Stira. He fearlessly swam through the waters of Ganga, but he was somewhat pacified by Chaitanya's words. Nityananda Prati Daki Bale Viswambara Vyasa Puja Asi Jata Kara Satvara. Viswambara called to Nityananda, come quickly and celebrate Vyasa Puja. सुनिया प्रभुर वाक्ये उत्तिल ताखने स्नान करी गृहे अइलेना प्रभु सने. Hearing the Lord's words, Nityananda completed his bath and returned to Siva's house with the Lord. Asya Milita Sava Bhagavata Gana Niravadi Krishna Krishna Kariche Kirtan. All the devotees gradually assembled together and they began to incessantly chant the names of Krishna. Srivas Pandita Vyasa Pujara Acharya Chaitanyere Agnaya Karena Sarva Karya. Srivas Pandit was appointed the head priest. On Lord Chaitanya's instruction, he completed all the formalities. Madura Madura Sabe Karena Kirtana Srivas Mandira Haile Vaikunta Bhavana. Everyone chanted so sweetly that the house of Srivas was transformed into Vaikunta. Sarva Shastra Gnata Sei Takura Pandita Karila Sakala Karya Vidhi Bodhita. Srivas Pandit was conversant with all scriptures. He performed all the activities according to scriptural injunctions. दिव्य गंध सहिता सुंदर वनमाला नित्यानंद आते दिया कही ते लागिला. He placed an attractive garland of forest flowers in the hands of Nityananda and spoke to him. Suno suno Nityananda ye maladara vachana padiya Vyasadeva namaskar. O Nityananda, please listen. After reciting the appropriate mantras, offer this garland and your obeisance to Vyasadeva. शास्त्र विद्याचे मालापन से दिवा व्यास तुष्ट हले सर्वाभिष्ट पाइवा. It is the injunction of the scripture that one should personally offer a garland to Vyasadeva. For if Vyasadeva is pleased, all your desires will be fulfilled. यथा सुने नित्यानंद करे हाय हाय किशेर वचना पता प्रपोता ना लाया. After hearing what Sriva said, Nityananda said yes, yes, but he did not appear to know which mantras he should recite. किंवा भले धीरे धीरे भुजना ना आया माला हाइते करी पुनः चारे चारे दिके छाया. He murmured something that no one could understand while holding the garland in his hand. He looked around. प्रभु रे दाकिया भले श्रीवास उदार ना पूजे ना व्यास यही श्रीपाद तुम्हार. Thereafter the magnanimous Srivas informed the Lord, your Sripad is not worshipping Vyas. On hearing Srivas' word, Lord Visvambara quickly came before Nityananda. The Lord said, "Oh Nityananda, please hear me and quickly offer the garland and worship Vyasadeva." Prabhu Bale Nityananda Suna Vachan Mala Diya Kare Jata Vyasera Pujan. देख लेना नित्यानंद प्रभु विश्वम्बर माला तुली दिलतान रा मस्तक ऊपर. As Nityananda saw Lord Vishwambar standing before him, he offered the garland to him. The garland looked most enchanting upon the curly hair of the Lord. At that time, Vishwambara manifested his six-armed form. Chanchara chikure mala sove ati bala chaya bhuja Vishwambara haila tat khala. Uh, शंख चक्र गदा पद्म श्री हला मूषला देखिया मूर्छित हैल्या निताय विह्वला. On seeing the conch, disc, club, lotus, plow, and mushala, Nitai was overwhelmed and fell unconscious. Being garlanded by Nityananda, Sri Chaitanya Deva displayed his six-armed form. In the six hands, he held a conch, disc, club, lotus, plow, and mushala. Upon seeing this, Nityananda fell unconscious in ecstasy. As soon as Nitai saw the six-armed, he fell unconscious to the ground with no symptoms of life. All the Vaishnavas became frightened and prayed, "Oh Krishna, please protect him! Oh Krishna, please protect him!" ओंकार करेना जगन्नाथेर नंदना कक्षे ताली देई घना विशाल गर्जना. The son of Jagannath roared loudly and repeatedly slapped his sides. मुच्च गिला नित्यानंद सद्भुजा दिकिया अपने चैतन्य तुले गाय हता दिया. ऊता ऊता नित्यानंद स्थिर हरा चित्त संकीर्तन सुनह तुम्हार समीहिता. When Nityananda fell unconscious on seeing the six-armed one, Lord Chaitanya personally picked him up with his own hands and said, "Oh Nityananda, get up and steady your mind. Listen to the congregation chanting that you began. यही कीर्तन निमित्ते तुम्हारा अवतार से ही तुम्हारा सिद्ध हिला किबा चाह पारा. The Kirtan which you incarnated to inaugurate is going on before you. What more do you want? तुम्हारा से ही प्रेम भक्ति तुम्ही प्रेममया बिना तुम्ही दिले करो भक्ति नहीं हाया. The loving devotion service belongs to you, for you are the personification of ecstatic love. Unless you distribute this devotion service, no one can possess it. Please control yourself and get up. Glance mercifully on your intimate associates and distribute this wealth to whomever you desire. अपना संभारी उत्तर निज जना चाहा यहाँ रे तुम्हारा इच्छा तहार विलाह. Anyone who maintains the slightest envy of you is never dear to me, even if he worships me. तिला अर्ध के तुम्हार यहाँ द्वेष रहे बजीला वो से अमार प्रिय कबू नहीं. Nitai regained consciousness by the Lord's word. He became filled with ecstasy on seeing the six-armed form. Know for certain that Ananta in whose heart Gaurachandra resides is non-different from Nityananda. The Jaya Bhuja Drushti Tane Kon Adbhuta Avatara Anurupa Ei Sava Kautuka. The manifestation of Lord's six-armed form is not astonishing, for all such manifestations are simply pastimes of his various incarnations. रघुनाथ प्रभु येना पिंड दान कैला प्रत्यक्ष हयाताह दर्श Dasarata Laila. When Lord Ramachandra offered oblations to his father Dasarata, he directly accepted them. If that was wonderful, then this is also. Know for certain that they are all Krishna's sporting pastimes. The natural characteristics of Nityananda Swarupa is that he cannot give up the mood of servitorship for even a moment. The natural characteristics of Lakshmana is to always serve the beloved Lord of Sita with his mind, life, and wealth. In this way, the mind of Nityananda Swarupa is always pleased in the service of Sri Chaitanya Deva. His unlimited independent control on the cause of universal creation and maintenance and annihilation. It is stated in the Vedas that at the time of final dissolution, the Lord in his form of Ananta remains unaffected. Still, the natural characteristics of Sri Ananta Deva is to remain constantly attached to the loving service of the Lord. Consider carefully how in every yuga and in every incarnation it is his natural characteristic to remain the servant of the Lord. In his incarnation as Lakshmana, Ananta is the Lord's younger brother and is always engaged in serving the Lord. Annapani Nidra Chadi Sri Ramacharana Seviya Akanksana Pure Anukshana. Although he gave up eating, drinking, and sleeping to constantly serve the lotus feet of Sri Rama, he was still not satiated. जेत हयो Balaram avatare dasya yoga kavu na chadilena antare. Although in his incarnation as Balarama, he was the elder brother, he never gave up the mood of service from his heart. स्वामी करे शब्दे सा बलेना कृष्ण प्रति भक्ति विना काकाना na haya anyamati. He addressed Krishna as Swami or Lord. His mind never deviates from devotional service. Know for certain that the Lord known as Ananta is not different from Nityananda Prabhu. Therefore, anyone who discriminates between Nityananda and Balarama is certainly a fool. One who disrespects the servant or personality of Godhead certainly commits an offense to Lord Vishnu. Although Lakshmi is worshipped by Brahma and Shiva, her natural tendency is to serve the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Lord Shesha is endowed with all energy, Sarva Shakti Samanvita Sesha Bhagavan, Tatapi Swabhava Dharma Seva Sei Tathan. Yet it is his natural characteristic is to serve the Lord. Therefore, the Lord is most satisfied to glorify his characteristics. It is the natural characteristics of the Supreme Lord to remain controlled by his devotees. The Lord takes special pleasure in glorifying his devotees. Both Vishnu and the Vaishnavas take pleasure in glorifying each other. Therefore, the Vedas describe their spontaneous pastimes. I write the glories of Vishnu and the Vaishnavas according to the evidence given in the Puranas. The thoughts and words of Nityananda Swarupa are Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Lord and I am one of his eternal servant. Nityananda Swarupa Yei Vakya Mana Chaitanya Ishvara Muni Tanra Eka Jana. Day and night, no words came from his mouth other than I am his servant. He is my Lord in all respects. Ahar Nisha Sri Mukhe Nahika Anya Kata Muni Tanra Seha Mora Iswara Sarvata. चैतन्य संगे यही मोहारे स्तुति करे sei mohare brutya paibe ka more. Anyone who glorifies me along with Lord Chaitanya is always Lord Chaitanya is actually my servant and will certainly achieve me. अपने करी आचरण सद्भुज दर्शन तारा प्रीते कही ताने यही सब कथना. He personally saw the six sound form of the Lord. Therefore, I am describing these topics for his pleasure. On the spiritual platform, Nityananda always sees the pastimes of Sri Gaura Sundara in his heart, and they certainly both always see each other. Yet Sri Nityananda serves the Lord by acting in accordance with the pastimes of their incarnation. Who can understand his pastimes? The Supreme Lord thus accepts service from himself as sung about, described in the Vedas, the Mahabharata, and the Puranas. The activities performed by the Supreme Lord are called Veda. The four Vedas sing of those activities while avoiding all contradictions. यही कर्म करे प्रभु से ही हया वेदा ताही गाया सर्व वेदे chadi sarva veda. Without engaging in devotion service, no one can understand this. This is known to a few people by the mercy of Gaurachandra. The Vaishnavas are eternally pure and full of knowledge. Their quarreling is simply part of their pastimes. If someone who has lost his intelligence does not understand this, worships one and criticizes other, he will be ruined. Just as a foolish person who worships the feet of a Brahmana then beats him in the head goes to hell, one who worships the deity form of the Lord Vishnu and then disrespects the same Lord who is situated in the hearts of all living entities also goes to hell. What to speak of being envious of Vaishnavas? If one causes pain to ordinary living entity, is considered a fallen low class person. Even after worshipping Lord Vishnu, if a person gives trouble to other living entities, his worship becomes fruitless. Such a person suffers unlimited miseries. The worship of persons who do not know that Lord Vishnu is present within the heart of every living entity is certainly materialistic. Their worship is like someone who washes the feet of a Brahmana with one hand and beats him on the head with his other hand. Consider carefully, have such persons ever been benefited or will they ever be benefited? It is 100 times more sinful to blaspheme a Vaishnava than to be envious of ordinary living entities. Those who faithfully worship the deity form of the Lord but do not respect his devotees, those who do not show compassion to those who are foolish, wretched, and fallen, and those who worship one incarnation of the Lord and do not worship other incarnations, those who discriminate between Krishna and Ramachandra, and those who have no love for Balarama and Shiva, are according to scriptures the lowest of all devotees. A devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly toward other devotees or people in general is called Prakruta Bhakta, a materialistic devotee, and is considered to be the lowest position. In the course of these topics, I have described the symptoms of the lowest devotees. Thus, Nityananda became filled with bliss in seeing the six-armed form of the Lord. One who hears the narration of Nityananda seeing the six-armed form of the Lord is freed from material bondage. Yehi Nityananda Sadbhuja Darshana, Iha Yehi Sunaye Tara Bandha Vimochan. Bahya Pani Nityananda Karena Kandane Mahanandi Mahanadi Vahe Dui Kamala Nine. After regaining external consciousness, Nityananda began to cry. It appeared that a great river was flowing from his two lotus eyes. Sava Prati Mahaprabhu Balila Vachana Purna Hila Vyasa Puja Karahe Kirtan. Thereafter Mahaprabhu instructed everyone. Now that the Vyasa Puja ceremony was completed, began Kirtan. On receiving the Lord's order, everyone became jubilant. Suddenly, the sound of Krishna's name vibrated in all directions. Nityananda Gaurachandra Nache Ekatani Mahamata Duibai Karoba Yanai. As Nityananda and Gaurachandra danced together, the two brothers became fully intoxicated and forgot themselves. Sakala Vaishnava Haila Anande Vihpala Vyasa Puja Mahotsava Maha Kutuhala. All the Vaishnavas became overwhelmed and expressed in this way. The ceremony of Vyasa Puja was joyfully performed. Some danced, some sang, and some rolled on the ground. Some devotees tried to catch hold of others' feet. Keha nache, keha gaye, keha gadi, yaya sabe ye charana dhare, ye yahara paya. The mother of Lord Chaitanya is the mother of the universe. She watched the entire incident from a solitary place. Whenever Mother Sachi saw Viswambara and Nityananda, she considered these two are my sons. The Vyasa Puja ceremony was the most blessed event. Only Lord Ananta is capable of describing it. I am only trying to describe some of the Lord Chaitanya's characteristics in the form of quotes. For one is benefited by glorifying Krishna in any way. The entire day was passed in the happiness of Vyasa Puja ceremony of all the devotees danced in the association of Viswambara. All the exalted devotees became intoxicated with ecstasy and cried while exclaiming, O Krishna. After revealing the truth of his own devotion service in this way, Viswambara and his associate became peaceful. Viswambara said to Srivas, now bring the remnants of the food offered to Vyasadeva. Srivas Pandit then immediately brought all the foodstuffs before the Lord, who served everyone, though remnant with his own hands. Being served with the hands of the Lord, all the exalted devotees happily honored those remnants. The Lord called everyone who was inside the house and personally gave them prasad. Those servants and maid servants of the Vaishnava thus received that which the demigods headed by Brahma feel fortunate to obtain. All these wonderful pastimes took place at the house of Srivas. Those who can describe Srivas' good fortune. Therefore, who can describe Srivas' good fortune? In this way, various pastimes were regularly performed nowadays, but the people were not aware of them. Accepting Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Chanda Jana, Vrindavan Das Achu Pada Yuge Gana. Sri Nityananda Ram Ki Jai. This is from Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Kanda, Part 1, Chapter 4, Glories of Lord Nityananda. Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्तवृंद मिलिला सकल भक्त भाई नित्यानंद भाई ना देखिया बड़ा दुखी गौरचंद्र all the devotees assembled together except Nityananda Gaurachandra except Nityananda Gaurachandra became unhappy and not seeing his brother Viswambara constantly remembered Nityananda and Nityananda who is non-different from Ananta could understand this. In this connection, please hear the narrations according to Nityananda. I will briefly describe his birth and activities in the form of quotes. In Radha Desha, there is a village named Ekachakra where Lord Nityananda took birth. Near this village, there is a deity of Modeshwara Shiva that was worshipped by Nityananda Haladara. In this village lived a Brahmana named Hadai Pandit, who was greatly renounced and full of compassion. His chaste wife's name was Padmavati. She was a great Vaishnavi and the mother of the universe. Both this Brahmana and his wife were most magnanimous. In their house, Nityananda took birth. Lord Nityananda was the eldest of their sons. On seeing all his auspicious symptoms, one's eyes were satiated. His childhood pastimes have already been described in Adi Kanda. If I narrate them again here, this book will become voluminous. In this way, Lord Nityananda engaged his blissful pastimes as he lived for some days in the house of Adai Pandit. Nityananda Prabhu then decided to leave home, but his parents, fearing distress in his absence, did not leave him alone. If Nityananda's mother did not see him for a moment, she considered the moment equal to Yuga. His father considered it even longer. Adai Bhuja would not go anywhere without Nityananda for even a moment. Whether farming in the house of disciple, in the marketplace, or on the road, whatever he was doing, he would glance at Nityananda 100 times every minute out of fear that he might leave. As Adai Pandit repeatedly embraced him, the soft as butter, delicate body of Nityananda would merge in his body. In this way, Hardai Pandit went everywhere accompanied by his son. It seemed Hardai Pandit was the body and Nityananda was the life air. As the super soul Nityananda knew everything. He stayed with his father for his pleasure and as a matter of duty. One day, by providence, an attractive sannyasi arrived at the house of Radha Pandit. Nityananda's father invited him for a meal and happily kept him in his house. Nityananda's father passed the entire night discussing the topics of Krishna with sannyasi. In the early morning, when the sannyasi was about to leave, he spoke to Nityananda's father as follows. The sannyasi said, I wish to beg alms from you. Nityananda's father replied, ask for whatever you like. The sannyasi said, I have a plan to visit the holy places, but I do not have a suitable Brahmana companion. Please give me this eldest son of yours to accompany me for some days. I will take better care of him than my own life, and he will be able to see all the holy places. This sannyasi has asked for my very life, and if I don't give him, I will be ruined. Many great personalities in the past have given their lives so sannyasis and thereby achieved auspiciousness. Vishwamitra previously begged Dasharatha for his son Ramachandra and was Dasharatha's very life. Although the king could not live without Rama, but he nevertheless gave him. This is described in the Puranas. The same thing has happened to me today, oh Krishna. Please save me from this dilemma. By providence, it was the same situation. So, why this mentality would not be the same? Otherwise, why would Lakshmana appear in his house? After contemplating in this way, the Brahmana went to his wife and explained the situation in detail. On hearing about this request, the chaste wife and mother of the universe said, Dear Prabhu, I agree with whatever you decide. The father of Nityananda then came before sannyasi with his head down and handed over his son to the sannyasi. The best of sannyasi then departed with Nityananda. In this way, Nityananda left home. Nityananda gele matra hadai pandit. Bhumite padila viprahaya muchita. As soon as Nityananda left home, the Brahmana Hadai Pandit fell unconscious in the ground. Say Vilap Kandana Karibe Kon Jane Vidare Pasana Kasta Tahara Sravane. Who can describe the Brahmana's pathetic crying? Even a stone and wood melt from the sound. Bhakti Rase Jada Praya Haila Vihvala Loke Bale Hadav Oja Haila Pagala. तीन मासा ना करीला अन्नेर ग्रहण चैतन्य प्रभावे सबे राहिला जीवन. Adaya Uja became overwhelmed and inert in the mellows of ecstatic love. People said Adaya Uja has become mad. Indeed, he did not eat anything for 3 months. He survived only by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. प्रभु केह चढ़े याता हने अनुराग विष्णु वैष्णवेरा ये अचिंच प्रभाव. Why does the Lord leave someone who is so attached to him? This is the inconceivable authority of Lord Vishnu and the Vaishnavas. Lord Kapila displayed indifference by leaving behind his widowed mother. Sukadeva left behind such a great Vaishnava father as Vyasadevas without even looking back at his face. The crest jewel of sannyasi displayed indifference by leaving behind his helpless mother Sachi. On the spiritual platform, such renunciation is not renunciation. Only a few great personalities can understand this topic. These pastimes are all meant for the deliverance of the living entities. Even a wood melts by hearing such topics. On on hearing about the Dasharatha's lamentation after sending away his son Rama, even the Yavanas cried profusely. In this way, Lord Nityananda left home and traveled to the holy places out of his own sweet will. The most magnanimous Nityananda visited Gaya, Kasi, Prayag, Mathura, Dwarka, and the ashram of Narayanayana. He went to the place of Buddhists and the residence of Vyasa. He visited Raghunath, Setubandha, and the Malaya hills. He then went to the Anantapura and fearlessly traveled through the uninhabited forests. He visited the Gomati, Gandaki, Sarayu, and Kaveri rivers. He also went to the Ayodhya and then wandered through the forest of Dandakaranya. He went to Trimalla, Venkatanaga, Sapta Godavari, the abode of Lord Shiva, and Kanyakumari. Lord Nityananda visited the Reva river, Mahishmati, Mallatirtha, Haridwar, where the Ganges descended in ancient times. In this way, after traveling to all holy places, Lord Nityananda returned to Mathura. The Reva river, there is a verse. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chants and Rupa Goswami understood his mind. Reva retasi taru chale samutkantate yak kaumar haraha. The verse in Antalila beginning, first chapter. Only Rupa Goswami could understand and he translated it into how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is feeling intense separation from Srimati Radharani, and he composed that verse. Priyoham ayam Krishna Sahachari Kurukshetra Midita Tadaham Saragata Dedam Upayo संगम सुखम तथापि अंतःकरण मधुर मुरली पंचम जुसे कालिंदी पुलिनोपनी स्पृहयति मधुर मुरली पंचम कालिंदी पुलिनोपनी स्पृहयति. So that is a that verse you can see river, actual river is there. Mahaprabhu used a coded language. Uh, no one could recognize Nityananda, the origin of Ananta, as he roared loudly on seeing his previous birthplace. He remained always in the mood of a child without displaying any other mood, as he spotted in the dust of Vrindavana. He never endeavored for his meals and repeatedly rolled in the dust of Vrindavan in the mood of a child. No one could understand his magnanimous characteristics. He did not consume anything other than the mellows of Krishna consciousness. On some days he drank some milk if someone offered him without asking. In this way, Nityananda Prabhu resided in Yei Matya Vrindavan Vaise Nityananda, Navadvipe Prakash Kaile Gaurachandra. In this way, Nityananda resided in Vrindavana while in Navadvip Gaurachandra revealed himself. निरंतर संकीर्तन परम आनंद दुख पाया प्रभु ना देखिया नित्यानंद. The Lord constantly engaged in Sankirtan, great happiness, yet became unhappy on not seeing Nityananda. Nityananda जानी लेना प्रभु र प्रकाश यही अवधि लागी करे वृंदावन वास. Nityananda understood that the Lord had manifested himself. He had waited in Vrindavana for this moment. जानिया आइला जाता नवद्वीप पुरे आसिया रहिला Nandan Acharya Gare. On realizing this, he immediately went to Navadvip, where he stayed at the house of Nandan Acharya. Nandan Acharya Mahabhagavatottama Deki Maha Tejo Rasi Yena Surya Sama. Nandan Acharya was a Mahabhagavati. He saw that the bodily effulgence of Nityananda was equal to the sun. महा अवधूत वेश प्राकांड शरीर निरवधि गंभीर रता देखी महाधीरा. Nityananda appeared as a great Avaduta with a large body. He was always grave and most sober. अहर्निशा वदने बलय कृष्ण नाम त्रिभुवने अद्वितीय चैतन्य धाम. He chanted the names of Krishna day and night. He was the abode of Lord Chaitanya, incomparable within the three worlds. नित्यानंद क्षणे 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 करैर हुंकार महामत्त येन बलराम अवतार. Sometimes he roared loudly in his own ecstasy. He appeared greatly intoxicated, just like the incarnation of Balarama. कोटि चंद्र जिनिया वदन मनोहर जगत जीवन हास्य सुंदर अधर. His attentive face, his attractive face defeated the beauty of millions of moons, and his enchanting smile was the life and soul of the universe. मुकुट जिनिय श्री दर्शन दस्तनेर ज्योति आयाता अरुणा दुई लोचना सुभूति सुभाति. The effulgence of his teeth defeated that of pearls, and his two broad reddish eyes increased the beauty of his face. आजानुलंबित भुजा सुपिवर वक्ष चलिते कोमल बद Padayuga Daksha. His hands stretched down to his knees and his chest was high. His two soft lotus feet were expert in the movement. Parama Krupaya Kare Sabare Sambhasa Sunile Sri Mukhavakya Karma Bandhanas. He spoke to everyone with great compassion. On hearing the word from his lotus mouth, one's bondage due to fruitive activities were destroyed. अला नादिया पुरे नित्यानंद राय सकले भुवने जय जय ध्वनि गाय. When Lord Nityananda arrived in Nadia, there were shouts of joy all over the world. श्री महिमा बले हेना के आचे प्रचंड यही प्रभु बांगीला गौर सुंदरेर दंड. Who can describe the glories of Lord who broke the sannyas danda of Gaurasundara? वाणी कदम मूर्ख यही करीला पारा ब्रह्मांड पवित्र हया नाम लैला yamra. The entire universe is purified by chanting the names of He who delivered the fallen, the foolish, foolish and the merchants. पाया नंदन आचार्य करशिता हना रकीलेना निज गृहे भिक्षा कराया. Nanda Acharya welcomed Nityananda Prabhu, fed him and kept him in his house. नवद्वीपे नित्यानंद चंद्र आगमना यहाँ यही सुने तारे मिले प्रेमतना. Anyone who hears about the arrival of Nityananda in Navadvip will certainly receive the wealth of love. नित्यानंद आगम जानी विश्वम्बर अनंत हरीश प्रभु हैला अंतरा. When Vishwambara understood that Nityananda had arrived, he became unlimitedly joyful at heart. पूर्व व्यपदेशे सर्व वैष्णवेर स्थाने व्यजनी Vanjya Achena Keha Marma Nahi Jane. On some pretext, the Lord had previously given the Vaishnavas some hint about Nityananda's arrival, yet none of them had understood. अरे अरे भाई दीना दुई तीनेरा बितारे कौन महा पुरुष एक आसीबे एतारे. Oh brother, within 2 or 3 days some great personality will come here. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಸೈ ದಿನ ವಿಷ್ಣು ಪೂಜಿ ಗೌರಚಂದ್ರ ಸತ್ವರ ಮಿಲಿಲ ಯಥಾ ವೈಷ್ಣವೇರ ವೃಂದ. By providence, after worshipping Vishnu that same day, Gaurachandra soon met with all the Vaishnavas. And the Lord told everyone, today I have seen something wonderful in a dream. तालध्वज एक रथ संसारेर सार आशीय रहील रथ अमार भूयारा. A chariot adorned by a flag marked with a palm tree and expert in bestowing the essence of life on all people arrived at my doorstep. Within this chariot, I saw someone with a huge body. He held a post on his shoulder, and his movements were unsteady. In his left hand, he carried a water pot wrapped with cane. He was dressed in blue garment, and his head was decorated with a blue cloth. वेत्र बाध एक कमंडलु वाम हते नीलवस्त्र परिधान नीलवस्त्र माते वामश्रुति मूले एक कुंडल विचित्र हालधर भाव येन भुजि ये चरित्र. His left ear was decorated with a charming earring. By his characteristics, I could understand that he was none other than Haladhara. Lord Nityananda Prabhu generally wears one earring, only one ear. यही बाड़ी निमानी पंडितेरा हाय हाय दस बारा विष बारा यही कथा काय. He repeatedly inquired 10 or 20 times, is this the house of Nimai Pandit? He was dressed like an Avadut, appeared with most powerful. I have never seen such a personality before. I was filled with respect on seeing him and asked, which great personality are you? He smiled and said, I am your brother, tomorrow we'll meet. I became most pleased by hearing the words and I considered myself identical with him. While speaking in this way, the Lord too lost his external consciousness. Ah, time is up. And roared loudly in the mood of Haladara. The Lord repeatedly cried and said, bring wine, bring wine. His cry was so loud that everyone's eardrums were almost broken. Srinivas Pandit said, please hear me, O Gosani. The wine that you are demanding is available only with you. Only one within whom give it to can have it. The devotees were trembling. They looked on from a distance. All the Vaishnavas contemplated. There must be reason for this. The reddish-eyed Lord recited poems and laughed as his body swayed back and forth like Sankarsana. After a while, Lord returned to his normal state. Then the friend of Rama began to explain the meaning of his dream. It appears to me that some great personality has arrived here. I have already previously informed you that they will soon meet a great personality. Oh Haridas, oh Srinivas, go immediately and see who has come. On the order of the Lord, two Mahabhagavas happily searched throughout Navadip. While searching in this way, they confided each other. It seems Lord Sankarsana has come. Overwhelmed ecstasy, the two looked everywhere but were unable to get any indication where he was. They looked all over Nadia but for 9 hours without finding anyone, then returned to the Lord. The two informed the Lord, we have not found anyone. We have searched the residence of Vaishnavas, Sannyasis, and Grahasthas. We have even gone to the house of Atheists. We have looked all over Navadip, but we did not go outside Navadip. Gaurachandra smiled and he heard this report. By this pastime, he revealed that Nityananda is most confidential. Some persons singing the glories of Gaurachandra in this incarnation run away when they hear the name of Nityananda. If one worships Govinda but does not respect Lord Shiva, as a result of this sin, he will go to the abode of Yamaraj. And then in this incarnation, Lord Nityananda is most confidential. One can see him only when the Lord Chaitanya reveals him. The process of anyone who blasphemes him without understanding the depth of his characteristics is obstructed, even if he achieves devotion service to Vishnu. Devotees like Shiva certainly know the truth regarding Nityananda, but for some curious reason they could not find him. After a while, the Lord smiled and said, "Everyone come and see him with me." All the devotees happily went with the Lord while chanting Jai Krishna. Sri Gaurachandra led all the devotees to house of Nandanacharya. Sitting there was a great jewel-like personality. Everyone saw him. That his effulgence was like that of millions of suns. No one could understand his internal mood. He was absorbed in happiness from his meditation and continuously smiled. Understanding his pure devotion mode, Viswambara and the devotees offered him obeisance. Everyone often stood there and watching him in awe and reverence without speaking a word. Mahaprabhu Viswambara stood directly in front of Nityananda, who immediately recognized the Lord of his life. Hmm. The form of Viswambara was as attractive as that of Cupid. He was decorated with divine sandalwood flower garland garments. How can the luster of shining gold be compared with his body? Even the moon desires to see his face. Accompanied by the devotee most enchanting Sri Gauranga and Nityananda wandered throughout the Navadvip. The valley of pearls is minimized on seeing his beautiful teeth. One who is constant on seeing his tied up hair. One who sees his elongated lotus eyes wonders whether other lotuses exist. His hands reach down to the knees. His raised chest is adorned with the thin white Brahmin thread. His forehead is beautified with mark of tilak. His entire body looks most enchanting even without ornaments. What is the beauty of millions of jewels compared with the beauty of toenails? What is the use of nectar when we see his smile? Accepting Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I Vrindavan Das sing the glories of the lotus feet. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Chanda Jana Vrindavan Das Tachu Pada Yuge Gana. Sri Nityananda Ram ki Jai. Prabhupada ki